teachers, welcome to this session. Today we are going to talk about professional documents. This is a continuation from what we had discussed earlier on curriculum interpretation. So as a teacher, you need to prepare a few professional documents, and in CBC, I advise the teachers do this in advance so that you can be able to deliver. I know the teachers have been saying there is a lot of work. Yes, there is a lot of work in CBC, but because I've also been a practicing teacher. When you prepare the professional documents early, you are able to collect the materials in advance. You are able to prepare in advance, and therefore you are always on the right track. Again, if you're absent, or in case of absenteeism, another teacher can come in and step in, and they will use the same professional documents. So welcome. So um, So, as a teacher, you need to think about the following issues. First of all, what will the learners learn? But before you even think about that, who is the learner? You have got different learners in the class who have got mixed abilities, they have different talents. And remember, we said we are nurturing every learner's potential. So, who are the learners in your class? Who is the learner? Each individual learner. What are they going to learn? And then after that, how will I facilitate learning? And then, do my learners understand? And then also, of course, how do you want to involve the learners during the learning process? Remember, we have shifted from teaching to learning, where the learner is more active and the teacher is passive. Now, professional documents are official documents that are developed to make learning efficient and effective as the teacher implements the curriculum. Then, which are these official documents? Before we even go to the scheme of work, I know the teachers will say we need the curriculum design. Then we have got the scheme from the curriculum design. The teacher is able to break it down and then get the schemes of work. Then, after the schemes of work, you develop lesson plans that are individualized. Then you go to the record of work, the progress record, and then IEP, individualized education plan for the learners. Now, the schemes of work. One, it is derived or developed from the curriculum designs. So, for the teacher to develop the scheme of work, they must have the curriculum design. Then, after that, it is a plan of how learning shall be organized within the allocated time. That is within a term, within a week, within a month. But otherwise, I advise teachers to plan for the whole term in advance. Then it allows the teachers to manage time appropriately or properly, and then all aspects of the learning process are thought through well in advance because the teacher has time to think through. What are the components of the schemes of work? Number one, we have got the administrative details, that is the week, the lesson, the strand, and the substrand. We had already discussed what is a strand and what is a substrand earlier. Then we have got the specific learning outcomes, the learning experiences, the key inquiry questions, the learning resources, the assessment, and then finally the reflection. So here is a sample of a schemes of work that has been derived or broken down from the curriculum design. So here are the columns. We have got the week, lesson, strand, substrand, specific learning outcome, learning experiences, key inquiry questions, learning resources, the assessment, and then finally the reflection. And remember what we agreed about all these topics, we discussed them. Now remember at the top, you should have the name of the school, the learning area, the term, and the year. That is very important. Then after you have done the schemes of work, we go to the lesson plan. What are the factors that you consider when preparing a lesson plan? One, you need to know the age of the learners, the nature of the learners, then the level or the grade or the year the learners are. Remember, we're also talking about the stage-based learning. Then the learner's entry behavior is very important when you're planning. The available learning resources, the specific learning outcomes. Then we have got the learning experiences, how the specific learning outcomes will be achieved. Then you have also to consider the key inquiry questions. Remember, we said earlier, the key inquiry questions should be open-ended, not closed-ended. Then the integration of ICT. Remember, we said this is very key. the core competencies to be developed and the values to be developed, then the assessment. That is the way of measuring how well the outcome was attained, test or worksheet or homework, among others. Of importance, establish the learning outcomes to be achieved during the lesson. Consider the learner's ability, background, and learning approach to use, among others. Ensure the availability of relevant or appropriate learning materials, and then determine the appropriate assessment methods that you can use. We discussed that earlier. Then components of a lesson plan, we have got the administrative details, as we had discussed earlier. Then we have got the strand, the substrand, the specific learning outcomes, the key inquiry questions, the learning resources. I keep telling teachers, please don't just write materials. Write them out. Specify. If you need, for example, brooms. If you need dusters, just write that. Then organization of learning, where we'll have the introduction, the lesson development. You can break it down into step one, two, three, and if you have step four, that is okay. Then extended activity, what you want the learners to do after that will help develop what you have already taught. Then the conclusion, and finally the reflection that will tell us how the lesson went. Did it go well, or how did it go? And if it didn't go well, what are some of the interventions, or what would you have done better? So that as next time you're planning for the same lesson, where do you put in the improvements? Here is a sample lesson plan. um, for example, we are just talking about learners say a tongue twister. That is the introduction, containing of sounds. This is an English lesson. Sound l and sound r as the teacher models. So then we have got the lesson development. Step one, the learners are guided to form small groups, listen and repeat the minimal pairs with sound l and sound r. Then life skills such as self-esteem and confidence are enhanced as the learners express themselves through the correct pronunciation of sounds and words. Respect, communication, and collaboration are enhanced as the learners share group tasks. When they're in the groups, there will be a lot of communication and collaboration. That is a core competence, and then the value of respect. There will also be turn taking as they listen as others say. Then you can as well break it down into step two, step three, and step four if you have it. Then we can go to the conclusion. That is how the teacher ends the lesson. Then you can do a reflection, look at what went well, what went wrong, and what would you have done better. And then there are extended activity that they can do to develop on the same lesson. Then we go to the record of work. This is where you record what you have done. It provides evidence of work covered by the teacher. The component will be administrative details, the time frame, lesson, work done, reflection, and finally the signature of the teacher. Here is a sample of a record of work. You can see it there. We have got administrative details, as we have got the school, the grade, the term, the subject or the learning area, the strand stroke substrand, and then the name of the teacher. And then you can fill in, as you can see there, and sign. So the lesson was on pronunciation of sounds. The work done was pronunciation of sounds and words correctly for effective oral communication. And then you can see the reflection there. Most of the learners were able to listen to an audio text. They were able to pronounce the sounds correctly and use vocabulary to construct sentences. And then the teacher can sign after that. Then we go to the learner's progress record. The record This is record of the learner's progress over time. So it is not within a day, it is over a period of time. An analysis of this will show what progress the learner is making. You can see where the learner was at the beginning, where they are as you continue, and you continue recording. At the end of that time, you can be able to see what improvement has been done. So it takes different formats depending on the type of assessment that the teacher wants to employ. So the so it takes different formats, and this is what the most of the teachers are calling assessment records or the rubrics. So this is very important because it reports the progress of the learners which is very important. So this document should also be shared with the learners, it should be shared with the parents so that you have discussions and look for ways of improving. And therefore, I would urge all teachers, please prepare these records on time, and then so that you are able to prepare on time, consider all the factors that we have mentioned earlier, and the lesson will be very successful. Thank you. Bye.